Sorry, pal, but there is an even more incriminating piece of evidence. This is the costume the defendant was wearing at the time of the crime. As you can see, it's covered in blood. The defendant attacked and killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. So this is the costume. There certainly is evidence of the back spray of blood on this. This piece directly links Maya Fey to the crime, sir. I see. The court accepts this into evidence. Alright. Is my voice off for them today? Alright, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Maya's fingerprints on both murder weapons and blood splattered on her clothes. Could this situation get any worse? Ha! What's wrong? You seem to be at a loss. I think this is the last piece of testimony the prosecution should have to offer. Feel free to sulk off with your tail between your legs, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Please stop calling you by my full name. It's disturbing. Okay. Okay. Hold it! There's blood on the costume. Lab results show that it is the victim's blood. So there is blood from the victim on the defendant's clothes. Definitely not good. Where... I think that's a typo. Were there any other clues? Were there any other clues that you could glean from this piece of evidence? Well... If you must change the topic, then the good detective here must testify again. But too bad, not enough time. Time to move on. Ah, yes, Miss Von Karma is perfectly correct. Urgh. Now even the judge is on her side. But if I bite off more than I can chew here, what should I do? Gotta press further. Excuse me. I'll try to mute or cut that out. Why is Miss Karma suddenly putting up resistance? There must be a reason as to why she suddenly threw out an objection like that. There must be a clue somewhere on this costume. So just have to look harder. Mr. Wright! Miss Von Karma's logic is perfect. There is no way you can poke a hole in it. Arg! Looks like my time is up, so about the costume. There is one little thing. Your Honor. Actually, there is something very wrong with this piece of evidence. Well, what? What are you talking about, pal? Where is this problem you are talking about? I've come this far, there's no turning back now. The problem I have with this piece of evidence is here. It's right here. I asked the court to please take a look at the sleeve of this costume. The sleeve? There's a tiny hole here. Ah, a hole? But that wasn't in the report. Hold on! What's this around the hole? It smells faintly of gunpowder. Gunpowder? No one ever told me! A hole that smells of gunpowder. It looks like I found a hole I was looking for. Your Honor, the only logical conclusion that you can make is that it must be a bullet hole. Order! Order! This is a very grave matter. It's best we correct the court record first before anything else. Alright, good. Sorry about that. I guess we messed up, sir. Is she actually smiling? What else is she hiding? Pull yourself together, detective. That tiny hole doesn't change a thing. The strength of the evidence still holds. Continue with your testimony. That just now was a fluke, nothing more. How can you say something like that? This is a huge oversight. Well, I agree it is a mistake on the part of the police. What prosecution for Karma said is true. The evidence still stands. If you do not find a more definitive problem with the evidence, then... No way! Detective Gumshoe, please continue with your testimony. Yes, sir. Oh, crap. Oh! It's very simple. On this one, objection! Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes! Huh, having you call me by my full name is kind of a weird feeling. You said that my client killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. Yeah, I did! Then what, may I ask, is the bullet hole you police overlook supposed to mean? What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that the victim had fired off a shot. Is this what it means to not fight back? You're right! It seems that way. If the victim tried to shoot the defendant, then it would change everything. Alright, the wind seems to be shifting. Ha! What is it? Is it with that "are you finished yet" left? Are you finished yet, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Miss Von Karma? It seems that Mayafei was shot at by the victim. However, that is only grounds enough to support a justified self-defense plea. That is correct. But I'm sure you remember, Your Honor, that what the defense clearly said. They rejected the justified self-defense plea and pleaded not guilty. Ugh! Now that you... Why, that's right! Which means the defense has yet to prove anything at all. No! Well, yes, that's true. Don't you curtsy at me. Furthermore, just the fact that there is a bullet hole in the costume is not enough to sustain a plea of justified self-defense. Huh? How so? Ah! Don't just stand there. Hurry up and tell the court what transpired that day. With the new information we acquired added in, of course. Huh? You mean by myself? You want me to put together a scenario all by myself? Ah! Yes, sir! Right away, sir! Okay. During the trialing, the defendant saw her chance to stab the victim in the chest. Of course, the victim used his last bit of strength to fight back. While the two were fighting, the victim took out his gun. The victim took a shot, but because they were too close, he missed. The defendant then picked up the opening and took the victim's gun and ended it. This scenario you put together does make sense. Yes, sir! Well, Mr. Wright, just by listening, it does make sense. However, I won't give up that easily. Please refrain from glaring at me like that. Now then, your cross-examination, please. Okay. There's something wrong with that. As we learned earlier, when something is fired too close, it causes a burn. So to be too close to miss, he'd have to be within 12 to 20 inches. Objection! Missing the tiny hole on this costume will be the prosecution's undoing. Eh? What do you mean? This little hole has actually created a huge hole in your testimony. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright! You said the two of them were fighting when the victim fired his gun at point blank. If that were true, then where is the gunpowder burn on this costume? The gunpowder burn? This is what you testified earlier. When something is shot from point blank, the burn area is left around the bullet hole. Oh! But there is not a single trace of gunpowder burn on this costume. That is a very good point. And What exactly does this mean? It means when the shot was fired, they were standing apart from each other. I'm disappointed, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You think you can punch a hole in my logic with that? With wishy-washy thinking like that, anyone can explain anything away. Then I implore you to disprove my line of thinking. Let's see. In the middle of their fight, the victim pushed the defendant away. And it was then, when they were separated, that he fired. How was that? As if that was even possible. According to the testimony, the wound from the stabbing was very severe. The victim would not have had the strength to push the defendant very far after that. Well then, that's right. The defendant must have pushed the victim away. After stabbing him, she must have put some space between the doctor and herself. And then while she was prepared to strike again, the doctor took his shot. There, that should satisfy even you. That does make an awful lot of sense. What do you think, Mr. Wright? I must be careful. I can't afford to make a mistake here. Concentrate and think. Something doesn't make sense. There is a fatal flaw in her argument, Your Honor. Fatal? Flaw? Yo! Very interesting. I would love to see where this flaw is. Show me something that contradicts my explanation. There has to be a snag in her explanation somewhere. She puts some distance between them of her rushing to make the final blow. And when she was about to strike, the doctor took his shot. There must be a piece of evidence. Aha, right here. Take that! Take that! There we go. This is the piece of evidence that destroys your logic. What is this, a folding screen? I would like to point out the court's attention to the hole in this folding screen. It looks like you already know what I'm talking about. Who? What? Where? What? Mr. Wright, your explanation, please. Are these two really that clueless? The bullet went through the defendant's sleeve first, and then the folding screen. It passed through at a height of approximately 8 inches off the ground, which means when the shot was fired, the defendant, was not getting ready to strike, but was actually squatting low to the ground. Order! Order! This changes everything! Please look at this diagram of the crime scene. The victim, Dr. Gray, was here when he fired the shot, and the bullet hit the folding screen. It hit at this location, about 8 inches off the ground. At this time, the defendant was in this area. It's gotta be either here or here. She was standing here, near the folding screen. Wait a second! We know the defendant was close to the ground based on the height of the bullet hole, but how can you gauge the distance from that? Isn't it possible that the defendant was standing much closer to the victim? That's impossible. But why? You of all people should know the answer to that question, Miss Von Karma. If she were shot from somewhere closer, there would be gunpowder burns present. However, there is nothing of the sort around the bullet of the hole of this costume. Curse you, Mr. Phoenix Wright! You... I believe it has now been proven that the defendant was standing a ways from the victim when she was shot at. But do you think that has changed the defendant's situation? It changes everything! Honestly, Your Honor, this changes everything. The prosecution has claimed that the defendant was aiming to kill by stabbing. If that were true, delivering the final strike with a knife would be ideal. However, where and what was the defendant doing at that time? Squatting all the way by a folding screen?